Bonjour, my name is David DeVere. I'm a wine educator and traveler, and you're watching Savvy Nomad TV. We are on day 20 of the Costco Wine Advent calendar. Now, there's only 24 days in this thing. This box is light. It's mostly empty. Let's see what the box has got for us today. Okay, if you're new here, you can click the playlist and watch the 19 previous episodes. If you're not new here, you know what we're doing. We're tasting these bottles one day at a time and analyzing their quality, which is frankly average. Okay, here's number 20 down here. This is the end of the road. Ooh, this is the end of the road for this half of the box. All right, let's get rid of that. And that, oh, it's kind of looking depressing in here. What do we have? A Grenache and Syrah from France. All right, something from the Cotes du Rhone. Let's try this. Our wine today, it says Grenache and Syrah and France. Well, in the intro, I said it was a Cotes du Rhone because this is the style that they're trying to make it as. But it doesn't say Cotes du Rhone on it. It just says France, which means it can be from anywhere in France. The French are particular about the way they label things. If it doesn't list the region, it's not from there. But they are, I think, trying to emulate a Cotes du Rhone style wine. So what is that? Well, the Cotes du Rhone is the Rhone River Valley. The Rhone River Valley goes on the eastern side of France, about halfway down. It runs along the French Alps, and it runs from essentially Lyon at the top to the ancient city of Arles at the bottom. It runs out into the Mediterranean in a big flat delta. In this region of France, they grow these really big, robust red wines. They also make rosé style wines. This is where you can find some of the Provençal rosés. Those names you would see on the label are places like Tavel or Advent-ure. A lot of places make a rosé. We don't always get to see all of the different types of French rosé exported. This is technically the edge of Provence, but it's for a wine region called the Cotes du Rhone. Now, working our way from the south to the north, the styles start to change. In the south, there's lots of blends. GSMs, Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre blends, Syrah, Grenache blends, Grenache, Syrah blends. The most famous is probably the Châteauneuf-du-Pape area. It's a fun thing to say. Go ahead and try it. Châteauneuf-du-Pape means the castle of the new pope. In the 1300s, the papacy moved to Avignon. And Avignon is where the Châteauneuf-du-Pape region is around. That's a growing region. They blend up to 13 different grape varieties to make their long-lived, really robust wines. And those are can be quite expensive because they've become quite popular. Anyway, moving north, you get into places that are called general Cotes du Rhones. Then you can move up to single varietal areas where it's just Syrah, places like Hermitage and Saint-Joseph and Côte de Rôti, which means hillside roasted hillside. Côte du Rhone is the hillsides of the Rhone. And those are single variety Syrahs. So there's lots of wines in this region. There's a lot to explore, but they're all generally big red wines, unless they're white wines, where sometimes they're Viognier or a blend of a wine called Marsanne and Roussanne blended together. The whites are not as well known in this region as the reds. This really is a big red wine producing area. Okay, enough of talk. Let's try it. All right, testing the temperature. 56. Brr. Okay, what am I going to expect out of Syrah and Grenache? Okay, interestingly enough, you can get out of both of these roasted meat flavors. Well, what does that mean? It means bacon. a smoky, somewhat unctuous, almost hickory flavored bacon aroma. That's a very good Syrah if you can find that. You can get blackberries, you can get raspberries, you can get blueberries, you can get vanilla, smoke. A lot of times, or licorice, a lot of times these wines are aged in oak, but also sometimes they're just aged in concrete. That's a step back to the ancient Roman tradition of doing things in amphoras rather than in barrels. These are dark wines. They should have smooth tannins. They generally are not very long-lived, so don't buy one with 10 years of age on it unless it's a very good producer, and probably at that point you're going to have a little more knowledge than just what I'm telling you today. Okay, so day 20. Wow. Grenache Syrah blend, Cotes du Rhone. That's what I'm going to call it, but we don't actually know where it's from. And let's see what it smells like. There's a slight hint of some red berries there. Very slight. It's not overly expressive as a red. I can smell the alcohol. The aroma, okay. That's so I can smell alcohol and something red berry. The color here is maybe a little more purplish, and I would call it between medium and deep. The alcohol aroma, I'm going to give it a 5. It should be a little more expressive if it's this Cotes du Rhone style. It's not particularly, and I don't really like that I could smell the alcohol. It smells a little bit of a nail polish. That's not particularly a good quality. All right, let's try it. Well, that's really dry with really grippy tannins. It's dry. The body is medium. I would want it to be a little bit heavier. The acidity is crisp. I would want it to be smooth or fresh. It's a little higher acid than I would have hoped. I'll give it a 5. The balance. Now, it is warming as it's going down. That's that alcohol again. The acid is all right. The tannins are quite grippy, and the sugars are not noticeable. It's not an issue. Let's taste it again. Wow, those are some grippy tannins. Holy moly. Okay, the balance is fair because I can notice the alcohol in its aroma and in its digestion. I can feel it down here. So, 5. Complexity. Is there any? Not really. 4. Is it disappointing? I drink a lot of these wines. I keep a bunch of them on for the summertime. These are great barbecue style wines, and so I know where they can go. I know how good they can be, and maybe I'm being a little harsh in my grading. But yeah, it's not very complex. And the finish and length, how is it? It's not bad. It's longish, but the wine is simply a little bit boring. I'm going to give it a 5 again. And I'm going to give it a long finish. All right, I'm going to go do my math. Day 20, Grenache Syrah blend, maybe from the Cotes du Rhone, we don't know, from France. 5 for aroma, 5 for acidity, 5 for balance, 4 for complexity, 5 for finish and length, 24 points, 74 total. That's right in the middle of average. If I was in a cafe, a little bistro in the south of France, and this was my lunch wine, it would be just fine. But I'm grading it here. I'm trying to think about its characteristics, and so I'm a little bit hard on it. But the Costco wine Advent box is just a game. Let's not get too uptight about the quality of the wines here. They are just something for us to explore during our Advent season, during this December. Something to do for fun. It's only $100 of fun. So who really cares what the score is? Who really cares whether the wine's exceptional or inexceptional, as is most the case? It doesn't really matter. Now, what would I pair with these style wines? Since they have grippy tannins and they're big, I would go something like a big hearty meat, stews, and if you're trying to emulate the French, a nice thing to pair with a big Cotes du Rhone like this would be Cassoulet, which is a white bean casserole with pork and duck and sausage. If you've never had Cassoulet, you should try it. It is the ultimate in French comfort food. And these sorts of big red wines and a baguette and a bowl of Cassoulet hot out of the broiler is really something wonderful for winter. That is the Christmas spirit. Some comfort food, nice glass of wine, and friends. That's where this box really lives. Okay, that's it for me today. That's it for day 20. If you've enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. If you're new here and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing and leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think about this Cotes du Rhone clone. I guess that's what we'll call it, a Cotes du Rhone clone. So until tomorrow, until day 21, I say a tutelere and cheers.
Hi. Sort of like a wine from Iowa. Look at that barn. Product of France. I think I smell oak. Like a little bit vanilla-y. And some kind of red fruit, red berries. Grippy tannins. Probably kind of high acid. It's kind of light. I'll try again. Too bad I didn't have a piece of cheese in between. I think this would go good with some cheese and crackers or cheese and bread or whatever. It's fine. Thanks. Cheers.